Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Their Excellencies, the Right Honourable Dame Patsy Reddy, Governor-General of New Zealand, and Sir David Gascoigne.
Hara mai rā, te karango te rā nei e. Hara mai rā, I rungi ngā mana ki tanga o mātou e. Hara mai rā, hara mai rā, hare mai rā. Hara mai ngā mana kuro te motu e. I tō rā whakahirahira mā koutou e. Hara mai rā, hare mai rā, haere mai rā.
Ti he mauri ora. E mihi ana ki te rangi, e mihi ana ki te whenua. E mihi ana ki ngā maunga, e mihi ana ki te moana. E mihi ana ki a koutou tātou, ko ta tūmai, I rungi te reo karanga, a tō tātou kāwana tianara. He hōnore, he kororia, he mau ngārongo ki runga ki te mato o te whenua. He whakaaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa. Aro haena ngā teina me ngā tuakana e noho nei I rungi te whakaaro kotahi, pai mārire.
Thank you everyone, please be seated. I ngā mana, I ngā reo, I ngā iwi o ngā hoe whā, tēnei aku mihi mahana ki a koutou. Nau mai, haere mai, ki Otutahi, Christchurch. Kia ora tātou katoa. I specifically acknowledge Mr. Andrew Turner, Acting Mayor of Christchurch, our kuia, Mrs. Ranui Ngārimu, our kaumātua, Mr. Joe Harawera, tēnā koutou. And I offer a very special welcome to today's honour recipients. It's a pleasure to host this investiture ceremony and bring together 14 honour recipients, along with their family and friends, to recognise the contributions they've made to our country. As Governor-General, I have the authority and the privilege on behalf of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of New Zealand, to hold an investiture for her and to confer the honours which each recipient is entitled. An investiture ceremony is one of the most important duties I carry out as Governor-General, and so it's a real pleasure to be able to resume these ceremonies again after the disruptions we had through the COVID-19 lockdown earlier in the year. On these occasions, it's my great privilege to bring together individuals who've made an exceptional contribution to our country. Some have a national public profile, others are well known in their own communities. But what they have in common is the positive impact they've had on the economic, environmental, social and cultural well-being of our nation. This will be a memorable day for you and for your family and friends who've come to celebrate with you. Ladies and gentlemen, as each recipient comes forward, I invite you to join me in thanking and congratulating them for their service to our country. Catriona MacLeod will now read a citation for each recipient and invite them to come forward and receive their insignia.
Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a Knight Companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Sir Steve Hansen of Christchurch for services to rugby. Sir Steve Hansen was head coach of the All Blacks from 2012 until stepping down following the 2019 Rugby World Cup. Sir Steve was part of the coaching trio that guided the All Blacks to their Rugby World Cup 2011 victory before assuming the role of head coach in 2012. He coached the All Blacks to a 3-0 series victory over Ireland during their 2012 tour. The All Blacks then went undefeated in 2013, winning 14 of 14 matches and retaining the Rugby Championship and Bledisloe Cup, the first team to accomplish this in the professional era. He led the All Blacks to win the 2015 Rugby World Cup, becoming the first ever team to retain the Webb Ellis Cup. He guided the All Blacks to consecutive victories at the 2016, 2017 and 2018 Rugby Championships, and has overseen their retention of the Bledisloe Cup from 2012 to 2019. In 2017, he led the team into their first Test series against the British and Irish Lions since 2005, ultimately ending the series in a draw. Sir Steve was named IRB Coach of the Year in 2012, 2013, 2014 and 2016. Sir Steve Hansen, please come forward.
Arise, Sir Steve.
Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of an Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mr. Rowley Crichton of Christchurch, for services to Paralympic sport. Rowley Crichton is best known as the coach of New Zealand's most decorated Paralympian, Sophie Pascoe. He won 6 Paralympic Games medals for swimming in the 1980s. He then began his coaching career with the Ashburton swim team and coached at Parafed swim camps. He coached the New Zealand Paraswimming Development Team and was head coach of the New Zealand Paraswimming Team. He began coaching at the QE2 Swim Club in the early 2000s and coached Hadley Pearson to selection for the Paralympic Games. He is a key member of the Paralympics New Zealand coaching team. Mr. Crichton has coached a number of triathletes and coached the Canterbury wheelchair basketball team to their first national trophy in 7 years. Mr. Rowley Crichton, please come forward. Mr. Mick Hopkinson of Murchison for services to kayaking and outdoor education. Mick Hopkinson was a kayak slalom racer and has made several world first river descents. He helped create the professional standards for outdoor instructors through setting up the New Zealand Outdoor Instructors Association. He established the New Zealand Kayak School, which offers free lessons to local kayakers and low-cost courses to youth in the Tasman region. Mr. Hopkinson founded and became the director of Castle Hill Outdoor Centre, the outdoor education branch of St Andrew's College. He served as the director of the Sir Edmund Hillary Outdoor Pursuit Centre near Turangi and helped set up the kayak instruction and river rescue courses for the New Zealand Canoeing Association. He's an advocate for river conservation and a member of Search and Rescue New Zealand and St John. Mr. Mick Hopkinson, please come forward. Mr. Tony Cockshawn of Greymouth for services to local government and the community. Tony Cockshawn served as a Grey District Councillor before becoming Mayor in 2004. He has provided leadership at times of considerable difficulty on the West Coast, including following the Pike River mine disaster, the closure of the Spring Creek mine, and a tornado that caused major destruction. He was the face of the West Coast community and media coverage of the Pike River mine disaster and has worked alongside the families of the 29 trapped men and contributed to a plan to re-enter the mine. He has held many chair and patron roles within the community and has worked on projects to promote local tourism. Mr. Cockshawn has helped raise more than $30 million for West Coast charities, often at his own expense in travel time and resources. Mr. Tony Cockshawn, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mrs. Yvonne Palmer of Christchurch, for services to seniors and the community. Yvonne Palmer has been Chair and Deputy Chair of the Shirley Papanui Community Board. She was Chair of the New Zealand Community Board's Executive Committee. She established the Confident Driving Programme and facilitates dozens of workshops each year, helping older people make informed decisions about driving. She was appointed to the University of Otago's Older Driver Study. She assists Canterbury Police with their older driver strategy. She facilitates home and personal safety courses with multiple agencies and coordinates the Positive Ageing Expo. She was appointed to the Community Advisory Committee of the Canterbury District Health Board. Mrs. Palmer was a member of the Community Justice Panel in Christchurch. Mrs. Yvonne Palmer, please come forward. Mr. Hadley Pearson of Christchurch for services to Paralympic sport. Hadley Pearson is sports manager at Parafed Canterbury, and the number of athletes in the Canterbury region has steadily grown under his management. In his previous role as sports coordinator, he guided athletes through the 2004 Summer Paralympic Games. Despite being born with osteogenesis imperfecta or brittle bones, he's had an active sports career and was selected for 2 New Zealand Paralympic teams. He has worked as a talent identification manager at Paralympics New Zealand and developed policies and procedures to support disabled athletes. Mr. Pearson established and maintained athlete development squads in the lead-up to the London 2012 and Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. Mr. Hadley Pearson, please come forward. Mr. Hayden Raelston of Christchurch for services to cycling. Hayden Raelston was a track and road cyclist who competed in New Zealand and internationally. He pursued an international cycling career in France from 2002 until 2004, before his career was interrupted by injury. He started competing once again in New Zealand, where he was the New Zealand Road Race Champion, the New Zealand Pursuit Champion, and was a member of the New Zealand Team Pursuit Champion team in 2006. He's also competed internationally, including at the 2006 Commonwealth Games in Melbourne. He was the Team Oceania Madison Cycling Champion, the individual Oceania Road Race Cycling Champion in 2007, and the World Track Championships in Manchester in 2008. He won the silver medal in the men's 4,000 metres individual pursuit and a bronze medal in the men's 4,000 metres team pursuit at the Beijing Olympics in 2008. Mr. Hayden Raelston, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the Queen's Service Medal, Mrs. Kathleen Burford of Christchurch for services to migrant and refugee women and crafts. Kathleen Burford established a quilting class for migrant and former refugee women in Christchurch 20 years ago. She organises free weekly quilting classes supported by volunteer helpers, donations and grants from community organisations. The group has made thousands of quilts from donated fabrics. More than 400 women from 30 ethnic groups have now attended. They've formed close personal relationships, grown in social confidence, and moved on to attend English language classes and gain employment. Mrs. Burford's own quilting work has won numerous awards. She is a previous Zonta member and a life member of the Christchurch Quilting Group. Mrs. Kathleen Burford, please come forward. Mr. Steve Bush of Christchurch for services to environmental rejuvenation. Steve Bush is manager of the trees for Canterbury Nursery. He made significant contributions to rejuvenation after the Christchurch earthquakes and Port Hills fires through donating plants and fundraising. More than 1 million native trees have been planted in Canterbury as a result of his activities. He has worked to include marginalised members of the community into the operations of the nursery, such as intellectually disabled people and corrections clients. He has delivered talks to community groups, encouraged school planting groups, and donated plants for Children's Day activities. Mr. Bush was part of the Canterbury Development Corporation Funding Committee. Mr. Steve Bush, please come forward. Mr. David Denton of Christchurch for services to outdoor recreation and youth. David Denton established the New Zealand Future Fishing Foundation with the objective of giving children a sense of confidence and self-worth by involving them in a healthy outdoor pursuit. He founded the Take a Kid Fishing, or TAKF program in New Zealand, organising the event for 30 years. He established and maintained the relationship with Isaacs Conservation and Wildlife Trust, who provide salmon for the TAKF event. Mr. Denton has been chairman of the Kids Fishing Charitable Trust, president of the New Zealand Sport Dealers Federation, and an executive member of the Sports Industry Association. Mr. David Denton, please come forward. Mr. Don Fairbrother of Kaiapoi for services to seniors and the disabled. Don Fairbrother was a key instigator of fundraising to establish the North Canterbury Minibus Trust to provide virtually free transport for the elderly and disabled. He was the initial treasurer of the trust and also took on the role of chairperson. The trust's buses transport around 10,000 passengers annually, utilising more than 4,000 volunteer hours. Mr. Fairbrother is a member of the Cust West Ayrton RSA and served as branch president, leading efforts to refurbish local war memorials. He is chairman of Rivertown Villas Body Corporate in Kaiapoi and has been charter president of the Wood End Probus Club. Mr. Don Fairbrother, please come forward. Mr. Murray Purvis of Timaru for services to the community and tennis. Murray Purvis has been involved with the Waiiti Tennis Club for 50 years, including as president and secretary. He was a founding member and treasurer of Tennis Seniors South Canterbury. He has been a Tennis South Canterbury board member. He is a member and former president of Timaru North Rotary Club. He's helped to establish Rotary Timaru North's Charitable Trust and several Rotary programs, as well as organising an annual fishing trip for 35 years. Mr. Purvis and his wife have donated significant amounts to Alzheimer's New Zealand, the Eganteich Art Gallery and the South Canterbury Museum. Mr. Murray Purvis, please come forward. Mr. Bruce Russell of Christchurch for services to the community. Bruce Russell is a member of the New Zealand and English Freemasons. He's chaired the West Melton Residents Association Committee, West Melton Reserve Committee and Selwyn District Community Board. He contributes to the Canterbury Country Rugby Referees Association, Canterbury A&P Association and Lincoln University Conference Committee. He held leadership roles with the Young Farmers Organisation and was president of the National Veterinary Services Council. He has organised local Anzac Day commemorations and led the development of a community recreation facility. Following the Canterbury earthquakes, Mr. Russell was involved with the Civil Defence Team and Sierra Advocacy Committee. Mr. Bruce Russell, please come forward. Mrs. Rosemary Stott of Christchurch for services to music. Rosemary Stott was one of the first New Zealanders to be appointed as an international examiner for the Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music, London. She has taught music for 50 years, including 20 years at the Canterbury School of Music. With her piano trio, Tresoli, she was for many years a national artist for Radio New Zealand. She has been an active member of the Institute of Registered Music Teachers Christchurch Committee and served on the Institute's National Council. Mrs. Stott composed Votes for Women, a suite for piano for the centenary of women's suffrage. Mrs. Rosemary Stott, please come forward. Your Excellency, the investiture is concluded.
Our honours system is our nation's highest public affirmation of outstanding individual achievement. It reinforces values and behaviours that sustain our communities and help our nation thrive and prosper. These include service, courage, manaakitanga, and the pursuit of knowledge and excellence. By using their talents to make ours a better society, whether by their service to their communities or by their leadership in diverse fields, or their commitment to excellence in their own field of expertise, our recipients have set a fine example to others. To the recipients, it's been a great privilege to hear your stories today. You've demonstrated determination, commitment, and compassion in your daily lives. In your own way, each of you has helped make Aotearoa New Zealand a better place to live. In some cases, your influence and the positive impact of your work has extended beyond our shores. Your actions and the stories we've heard reflect the spirit of the words of Nelson Mandela when he said, "What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It's what difference we have made to the lives of others that determine the significance of the life we lead." On behalf of all New Zealanders, I thank you all for making a difference, whether by dedicating your lives to the public good, achieving distinction in your chosen field, or inspiring others with your leadership. Please wear your insignia with pride, knowing that your contributions are recognised and valued, and others are inspired by your example. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. That brings us almost to a close of the formal part of today's ceremonies, but before we break for refreshments, I wonder if I could ask you to stand and join me in singing our national anthem.